Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of LOUIZA magazine. And today we're conducting this interview today in downtown Silver Spring, Maryland. That's in the United States of America, in the law office of Fogam and Associates. And I have today with me lawyer Fogam. He has other lawyers that practice in the same law firm, but they are not here today. But we hope that next time they might be with us. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, I think it's my pleasure, actually coming here today to do this interview with you. I know you've been practicing law for a very long time. So, can you describe to us briefly some of the challenges that you've been facing as a practicing lawyer?
Yes, I've been practicing law for approximately 19 years, and like in every other profession, there are lots of challenges. Specifically in the legal profession, especially in the practice of law, you don't only have to research and write, you have to meet clients, you have to go to court, as well as you also have to be a business manager because you have an office to run. So those are the type of challenges. Those are the type of challenges that we face.
Yeah, what type of writing exactly, because I know I'm a writer, I do a lot of writing. But could you try to briefly describe the type of writing that lawyers, that you use in the legal field?
Well, legal writing it's not very, the skills, legal writing skills are not very different from other writing skills, but they are somehow focused in the areas of law, case analysis, brief writing, research, and so on. And the citations are different from other legal writings, other non-legal writings.
Quite amazing. I really need to get a little bit of justification with that because I'm a writer. I do a lot of writing. And sometimes when people hear about writing, they don't really understand. And there's always a little difference from one writing to the other. We are talking today about legal writing, and it entails the lawyer, like he said, trying to put his ideas in a package so that he can present his case in a very explicable, simple, and concise language so that everybody sitting in court can listen and understand to it, and making it so logical that it can enable him to go through with the case. Coming back, to our interview, could you briefly describe to us, your area of practice? How could we describe your area of practice?
Okay, I practice in 4 or 5 different areas. I practice personal injury, civil litigation, immigration and nationality law, family matters, and business and international transactions.
Wow, that's quite broad. Doesn't mean you didn't have any specialization, I beg your pardon, any specialization as far as the law is concerned? That's a broad,
Well, initially I started practicing immigration, but very early in my practice, I decided not to specialize in any particular area, but I do carefully select my cases, and I make sure I deal with areas that I understand properly, or cases that I can handle properly, and that way I have a broader perspective of the law, and I prefer to work that way because it's more interesting and more challenging.
Okay, quite interesting. When you say, you do a selection, could you briefly explain that,
Well, when I say selection, it doesn't mean that you do select only cases that are good or bad, but I focus and select cases that I think I have substantial knowledge to handle, and I can handle properly.
Thank you so much, Lawyer Fogam. We're going back to the interview, and the next question, I have for you today is actually trying to find out, because recently, statistically, I went out and I discovered that there are a lot of young people nowadays, especially our immigrant, children, and immigrants who come to the US. Most of them are shifting away from practice Is there any explanation or is there any reason for that?
When you say they're shifting away from practice, you mean
La
not the
legal
legal
yeah.
profession,
Yeah,
right?
the legal practice.
Yeah, I think there are lots of challenges as far as the legal profession is concerned. First, legal education is quite expensive these days. There are many lawyers and law firms. It is quite competitive out there. The business environment is demanding. So yes, there are those challenges, but at the same time, the United States, like some other countries, is a country that will always need lawyers. And I wouldn't say that anyone should shy away from pursuing that dream if that is really what you want to do.
Okay. Yeah, but what I came to understand is like some people also gave me the knowledge that when they come to the US, maybe they've been practicing the law, maybe they've been in the legal profession and they have all those certificates. Is it true that they have to go back to school and start all over again?
Well, not that you have to go back to school completely, but you have to get yourself educated in the United States legal system, as well as prepare yourself to sit for the bar exams, because that is what will actually qualify you as a practicing lawyer. Now, you might have, or you may have obtained your degree in an English-speaking or an Anglo-Saxon system, and that can qualify you probably to sit for the bar. But you will definitely need some preparations here in the United States to understand the system and the law as well.
Okay, especially to our young population, because those are people who have already gone to school. But now, coming back to our young professionals, those who've never been to a law school and who really thought they could be lawyers, but for some reasons, like the school fee and all those things, it is kind of like acting like a barrier for them to go to school. So any word of advice that you could give them?
Well, yeah, what I would say is that generally, if you set your goal properly and you focus, everything else is will just be a distraction, and you can always find a way to accomplish what you set out to accomplish. So I wouldn't say that just the fact that legal education is expensive or that the legal field is challenging, that should prevent anybody from pursuing that dream or that arena if they really want to do that.
You heard it. Remain focused, stay put, and make sure that you follow your dreams. There is nothing that can stop someone from getting to the sky here in the US. All those barriers are just ideas. So our young children growing up, our parents, everybody, if you want our society to change in the future, the only way, like President Obama says it every day, is going to school. Because going to school is an instrument. It's like a weapon to take you wherever you want to go. You might talk about the school fee or whatsoever, but the time you're making the money, the school fee becomes nothing. Don't get scared because of school fee, because of this, because of language barrier, because of all those negative things are just ideas that they don't really hold when you start making it. So coming back to the interview, actually, I know you were an immigrant before you became a citizen of the United States, practicing law. Could you tell us a little bit some of the challenges that you faced during that time of practice when you were still an immigrant?
The challenges I faced as a foreign national is what I believe every foreign national will face coming to another country like the United States. Language, probably some color barrier, and so on and so forth. But again, once you get into any system, you have to work hard, study the system, and do what you need to do within that system.
Does it mean that our, sorry for interrupting like that, actually I just wanted to find out real quick, why should language, because I know we speak English, is there a difference, because this issue about language is like becoming unbecoming.
Well,
I don't know what is
as you
going on.
know, different cultures have different pronunciations and different use of language, even if it is the same English language. The way the British speak English, the way the Americans speak English, the way an African English-speaking person speaks English would not be the same. So that also applies to other languages like French, the way French speaks French, the way a Belgian speaks French, the way an African French-speaking person speaks French would not always be the same. So those are challenges, but at the same time, once you get into the system and you can do what is done in that system, you should be able to overcome those things.
So like an expert, if you had to give an advice, you know, to everybody, you know, facing those type of barriers, is going to school, you know, to learn the English language when you come here, is it an option in order to...
Well, it's always
that?
good if you have the time and ability, money to do that. It's always good to learn and refine your language skills in whatever language. That will always help. But it doesn't mean that you cannot also learn that in your day-to-day activities or while you are doing something else within that system. You can still learn it as you go along.
So what is your final advice generally, you know?
Well, my final advice generally would be that set your goals, focus on them, and work hard towards them.
You heard it from Lawyer Fogam. Lawyer Fogam is quite an interesting, you know, somebody that you might like to meet. And he's very hardworking, and if he says something, he means it. Stay focused. Do whatever you have to do in order to realize your dream. There's nothing like an obstacle here in the US to stop you from getting as high as the sky. You heard it from Lawyer Fogam. And even if it means that the language program, the language problem, I beg your pardon, which has become so elaborate that scares people from doing certain things here. There's nothing that can stop you from doing whatever you want to do. Anything you want to do, you can either decide to have a quick English class program, which I know some churches offer it. If you come new to the United States and you don't have anywhere to go or anybody to direct you on where to go and study English language, like when I say study English language, it doesn't mean you don't know how to speak English. It simply means that Americans have their way of talking. And if you want to talk like the Americans, and then you have to go even to a church, your church, and you can get information on how to do those classes. Some of them are offered free. So thank you so much, Lawyer Fogam. And this is Lawyer Fogam, downtown Silver Spring in the US. Before I go, I would just like to quickly ask you how people can get in touch with you.
You can reach me through my website, www.fogamlaw.com. You can also shoot me an email, ekfogam@fogamlaw.com. You can call my law office, which is the telephone number is 301-608-1555.
You heard it. That was quite an interesting interview. If you had anything to learn, pass it over. Next time, we hope to be with you, and we're so happy that you're there to listen to us, because it's fast becoming a problem for people to go to school, especially in the law field. There's nothing that can stop you. We have finally come to an end of this special edition of LOUIZA magazine in an exclusive interview with Lawyer Fogam. And we thank all of you for listening, and we hope that you will be with us next time. Thank you, and thanks for joining us. And thank you once again, Lawyer Fogam.
Thank
you.
you.
Hope to be with you next time.
No problem.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you.